If Russia decides to use tactical nuclear weapons on Ukraine, what will be the response of the Americans and the Europeans? Let's talk about the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Something big is about to happen. Guys, I want you to listen carefully and listen to the end. The US President Donald Trump just announced a new date for the visit of the special envoy Steve Witkoff to Moscow to meet with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Recently, we saw the online dogfight between the US President Donald Trump and the former President of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, prompting the US President Donald Trump to announce that the US would deploy nuclear submarine in and around Russia. Where exactly, we have no idea. But let's talk about the big elephant in the room, is the fact that the Americans don't know how to deal with this. It is naive of the US President Donald Trump to have stated that he will end the Russia-Ukraine conflict in just 1 week or in 24 hours as he said earlier. Well, he is finding out in real time that this conflict is far more deeper than he thought. Let's talk about the reality on the ground. It seems to me that the US have no idea on how to deal with this situation. But the Europeans have just one solution: to continue to pump weapons to Ukraine to make sure that Russia is strategically defeated on the battlefield, meaning that the Russians will not achieve their objectives in Ukraine. They are not even looking for outright victory for Ukraine and for Ukraine to claim back all the territory that the Russians took from them after 2014. What the Europeans are looking for, at the beginning they announced that they want to go back to the 1991 lines, meaning Crimea, the whole of the Donbass, and every other area that the Russians have seized will go back to Ukraine. But this is not what the Europeans are looking for at this moment. The Europeans are looking for tactical defeat for the Russians in Ukraine and also to hurt Russia economically. Well, the Russians have stated their objectives. Crimea will be Russian, the Donbass will be Russian, the status of the Russian language, the status of the Russian Orthodox Church, and a host of other issues that the Russians have presented. And none of that is up for negotiation. Ukraine is saying, well, they should give. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is asking for more weapons and more money, hoping that that can help him to push back the Russians to the 1991 line. This is what the Ukrainians are looking for. In fact, Ukraine is asking America to use nuclear weapons against Russia. Here's the point. Zelensky is no longer a legitimate leader. On what mandate is he still the president of Ukraine? Well, the reason he's there is because the war is continuing, so there's no need to call for fresh election. And the Europeans are telling him, we will continue to support you to remain the president of Ukraine for as long as possible if you do our bidding and continue to fight against the Russians. America also have an interest in Ukraine and would not want to see Ukraine lose as well, economic interest and a host of other issues. We saw the recent deal signed